And every time we created something big, it was destroyed, burned down.
Like where? Wilmington, North Carolina, Eatonville, Rosewood, Tulsa, Philadelphia, Chester, Pennsylvania, Wilmington, North Carolina, Beaufort, South Carolina,
in Jersey.
Yeah. Anytime we had any infrastructure, two things happened. You know what Central Park is, right?
It's a park.
No, it's not. Central Park was actually a place called Seneca Village. It was when freed black people decided to converge in one area, and they decided to redistrict that area, even though they owned the land and the houses that they built free and clear, and they destroyed those people, displaced those people, and built a park around it. There's a place called Lake Lanier. It used to be a thriving black town. They decided to kill the black folks, get rid of the ones they couldn't kill, and then people right now are boating on it every weekend. That's what happened to us. That's what got destroyed.
Child, let me make this plain. We never asked to be with white folk. Not mixed in, not assimilated, and not integrated. Baby, we was already building our towns, our schools, our communities, our businesses long before segregation became a law. We were creating spaces to thrive, to care for our own people. We've always said, leave us alone. In other words, y'all do you, we gonna do us. We were thriving, building, and living on our own terms. What we said was, leave us alone with the money we've contributed to taxes, money that was stolen from us and poured into their communities, their schools, their futures, while our schools were defunded, denied, and left dilapidated. But instead of leaving us alone, they destroyed what we built and burned it all down. No apology, no repair. And when we rebuilt again and again, you erased our progress and called it integration. Baby, something we never asked for. And if we keep it a buck, integration was not about equality. It was about control, about access, and about stealing our brilliance and colonizing everything we created. We lost our schools, our towns, our businesses. And somehow, after all of that, we made progress. But let's be clear. Proximity to whiteness is not liberation. It's not safety. It's not love. It's exploitation. It's erasure. It's us being taught to silence ourselves in classrooms, on teams, in relationships, just to survive. And baby, that's not what we asked for. And I need black folks to hear me when I say this. Proximity to whiteness means danger. We are not safe. Our kids are not safe. And our bodies, damn sure, ain't safe. But for white folks, proximity to us means draining our creativity, our brilliance, and our joy. They extract our style, our soul, and our magic, and they repackage it without us. So baby, when they say they're rebranding all white towns, which let's be honest, never left, baby, I'm not mad. My soul is rejoicing. Hallelujah. Because maybe, just maybe, we'll finally be safe after all. So go home. You won't be missed. Happy Black History 365, and I'll see you next time.
Black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. For example, black people can go up and say that there's a baby mama problem in black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oh, I just did, so what are you going to do, cancel me? Black people are much easier to be able to say that black individuals, despite being 13% of the American population, commit 55% of the murders. Most white people say that at a job, they would get fired for being a racist. I don't care because I say whatever I want.
Oh yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing good. Today we are diving into a topic that continues to stir deep public debate: the unveiling of Black history, the identity, and the long-standing question of cultural autonomy. As historical records become clearer and previously hidden archives come forward, the global reaction has intensified, not because truth is dangerous, but because truth challenges comfort. So guys, in this video, we are just here to explore why the unlocking of Black history triggers resistance, what self-determination truly means, and why many Black thinkers have argued throughout time that forced integration was never the community's request. So guys, let me roll these clips. I'll be coming back with more commentaries. In case of any thoughts, kindly feel free to join the conversation. Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. Do communities have the right to cultural autonomy without being labeled as separatist or angry? Guys, let's get into this. And if you are interested interested in history, diaspora perspectives, identity, and global black narratives. Hit subscribe and stay updated. I'll be back.
Oh, bless your little colonizer heart. You really climbed on the internet and opened your pale mouth and decided to rewrite history in real time like the rest of us haven't been wide awake. The audacity to claim black people have more intellectual freedom while simultaneously gaslighting the entire globe into believing your fragility is under attack. Now that's rich. Irony is so thick, and it might as well pay for reparations. But I'm going to reveal the lie and hypocrisy behind the Olympics that you just won the new gold medalist for. You say black people can talk about black issues, but white people can't. Well, sweetheart, when y'all own CNN, Fox, Time Magazine, Hollywood, Disney, and the banks, and every Ivy League endowment, maybe, just maybe, you can sit out for just one conversation. And while you're pretending to be gagged, your people are in every boardroom, courtroom, war room, media room, pushing propaganda like it's your birthright. If you're so silent, how come the world speaks your language, worships your whiteness, and mimics your mediocrity in music, fashion, and culture? But I'm gonna drop those receipts, the historical Holocaust y'all don't want us to talk about. Let's get into these statistics, since you love to throw out black crime rates around like white folks aren't the original terrorists. Let's talk about genocide. 100+ million indigenous people murdered globally via colonization. And how about slavery? Over 12 million Africans stolen, tortured, sold as properties, built your banks, White House, legacy wealth. And what about these serial killers? Oh, you don't want to talk about that. Because statistically, over 76% of serial killers are in the U.S. are white. And how about school shooters? Yeah, those white boys, this is about 90% of them were school shooters, right? Oh, and let's not forget global extinction. Yeah, nearly every animal now endangered or extinct, white-led colonizers hunted for sport, fashion, and science. Yeah. And what about environmental destruction? You bulldozed the whole rainforests of this world, dumped oil in oceans, and then said climate change like it was a mystery. And let's not forget, you poisoned your own Europeans during the bubonic plague because y'all didn't believe in using soap. So before you speak on crime statistics, check the colonial body count. Yeah, I want to talk about this irony though. You all want to parent us now? You want to talk to us and talk down to us? You say black folks need to get their act together? Sir, y'all are the original baby's daddies, raping our women, selling our families, and now you're confused about single mothers? Your wives were sipping tea while your children suckled on the breast of black nannies. Did you forget? That's the origin of your wet nurse economy. You stole our families and then had the nerve to blame us for the fracture. That's like robbing a man and breaking his legs and then calling him lazy for limping. And don't come for our music, our art, and our soul. You manufactured the whole hedonism and handed the record deals to those willing to sell their souls for the culture you corrupted. Yeah, you say our rappers don't challenge the rot? You own the labels, genius. But I'm gonna connect those dots from the plantation to the Pentagon, baby. See, it wasn't just slavery. It was the war on drugs, the FBI's COINTELPRO, the Tuskegee experiment, redlining, predatory loans, prison labor, Black Wall Street bombings, and forced sterilization. Oh, did you forget that? You all orchestrated the problem, blamed the victim, and then handed out band-aids and made that BS, okay? Even your DEI talking points are laughable. White women are the primary beneficiaries of affirmative actions. Did you hear that right? You parade black faces for photo shoots, the poster child, while your HR departments remain whiter than sour cream. We see it. But here's the uncomfortable truth, sweetie. We are the blueprint, not the afterthought. We are not just black. We are the descendants of the tribe of Judah, the royal priesthood you've tried to erase. And you know this. which is why your scientists study our DNA, your historians bury our truth, and your politicians silences our speech. You envy our melanin, our rhythm, our brilliance, so you commodify, crucify, and then cosplay it on TikTok. But guess what? You can't colonize the spirit, baby. Here's the inevitable reckoning truth, and the truth don't die, it rises. So here we are, sifting through your smoke screens, unearthing your stolen stories, and refusing to play nice with lies. You're not silenced, so stop it. You're sobered, and that sobering truth is this. You can't cancel us when we are the original signal, the source of the frequency, the soil from which God made humanity. You call us victims, but we are the verdict, and the jury is back. Your father is the father of all lies, but our father, he is the truth that exposes every single one. I need you to kindly exit stage left because your time on the mic is up.
Black History Month is canceled. Black History Month was started by black people. So how is the government going to cancel something that black people created? So it is up to us to keep black history alive now. Because when in the world have we ever asked for a president's approval to celebrate and honor our own people? Never. So we're just going to keep on doing what we always do. Buying from black businesses, supporting black organizations, teaching ourselves black history, having a cookout. Now I do have to plug myself. Because I wrote a book about black history for kids and teens to learn that black history figures can connect to their own life through personal stories from my life and fun facts about these figures and their stories and their emotions. So please pre-order it today. Thank you.
So I had some white colleagues ask me what I thought about Trump actually segregating whites and blacks, and I actually told them straight up, like, honestly, I would love that. Now, they looked at me like I was crazy, and they almost spit up their almond milk, and I think they thought that maybe I was saying that out of hatred, but it really isn't about hatred. Here's the thing, I'm not talking about their version of segregation. See, I'm talking about our version of righteous separation, spiritual sovereignty, and black sufficiency. See, the truth of it is that integration was never about freedom. It was finesse. It was a system's way of saying, let's stop them from succeeding independently so we can profit from their brilliance directly. It was about control. And so I want us to be very clear about this. You know, we were never separate but equal. So that's a lie. We were separate and excelling. We had our own schools, we had our own banks, we had our own businesses, and baby, we were thriving. Black Wall Street, they burned it. Rosewood, they bombed it. Wilmington, they overthrew it. Why? Because we were doing too well without them, and they couldn't handle that. And so that's the truth. They didn't really want segregation gone. They wanted control. This is why we know that integration was just repackage of chains. When we were separate, we actually were building and excelling. And when they saw that we could excel without them, then it was like, oh no, we got to take control and make sure that their labor is profiting us. So right around that time, they rolled out this whole standardized testing, ACT and SAT. Y'all remember that? They created this IQ ranking to measure their norms, not our brilliance. And then we were said we were behind when we really weren't. We were just building our own lane, not asking for theirs. See, I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of tired of the lies. It's very exhausting, you know, just the lies that continue to be promoted. And I want to talk about the melanin, because this whole thing that we're not smart enough, that we're not bright enough, is simply just a lie. And so, you know, all this testing that they're doing, and I have kids in school, and they're made to feel that they cannot achieve, and I have to remind them about their actual superpower, melanin. See, not just your skin tone, but in your brain, specifically neuromelanin, that rich dark pigment found in areas like the substantia nigra, which are critical for learning and memory and decision making and emotional regulation. See, if you don't know, then you won't know how to respond. But when you learn about the studies that have actually linked the neuromelanin to higher concentrations and how it's related to enhanced memory and processing and higher intelligence and faster reaction times, then you know why they have hidden this information for so long. Because when you have higher melanin, you have stronger brain resilience against degenerative diseases. So translation to that is melanin doesn't just make you glow, it makes you grow.
Guys, as you continue watching, this is just an eye-opening breakdown, and we are here exploring why conversations around Black history, the autonomy, and cultural self-determination continue to spark discomfort and resistance in certain spaces. As more historical records, testimonies, and suppressed narratives are revealed, the world is forced to recognize that Black communities have long voiced a desire for respect, equality, and space to thrive without interference or forced assimilation. Yes, so we're just here even in the comment section. Let's discuss how Black history has been revised, erased, or minimized over time. Let's talk about the long-standing call for self-definition and cultural independence. Let's talk about, guys, why historical truths are often met with tension when they challenge old narratives, and also the difference between integration and self-autonomy, together with why acknowledging history is necessary for real healing and progress. Rather than focusing on division, this discussion highlights the importance of accurate education, mutual respect, and the freedom of communities to shape their own futures without judgment or imposed identity. So guys, let's continue with this remaining clip. I'll be back with more commentaries. Stay tuned.
A lot of Black Americans are remembering. And remembering does not involve books. It's not something that you learned in school. Remembering is like an ancestral knowing. It's just a feeling that you know who you are. And I think that's what a lot of people are seeing now in this year 2025, with Black people delineating, with a lot of Black people remembering that their grandma used to call them Indian, Cherokee, Blackfoot, whatever. I think that the remembering will be one of the ways that Black Americans no longer support white supremacy and the tenets of white supremacy, one of which is the worship of the written word, and the fact that we don't need facts and stats and documentation to tell us who we are. When you know who you are, you know who you are. And I don't care what anyone says. I remember. And I think that waking up is not learning from books. I think when you wake up, you remember. You just remember you were asleep. And I think that's what they're trying to stop. And I think that Black Americans are doing that now. And no matter what people say, that is what we're going to continue to do. And I know that, we're going to get laughed at, we're going to get all these things, but I think remembering is the final phase, is the final step. And I see my people doing it now, and it makes me excited.
Oh yeah, across books, museums, and school systems, Black history was often shortened, edited, or limited to a few chapters focusing on slavery and civil rights. But the story is far older, it's deeper, and more global than that. Long before colonial timelines, African civilizations built universities, mathematical systems, architectural wonders, medical knowledge, and trade networks. And West African cities like Timbuktu were global centers of learning, where thousands of manuscripts and scholars shaped science, literature, and spirituality. And as research and digital archives continue to emerge, the world is discovering that Black history did not begin with suffering. It began with the structured societies, innovation, governance, and culture. And when truth expands beyond the narrative people were taught, discomfort shows up, not because history is wrong, but because old perspectives become too small to hold new knowledge. So there is a key misunderstanding that has lasted generations. We are talking about autonomy versus integration. The idea that black communities asked to be absorbed into systems they did not build. Historically, the demand was not assimilation, it was equality, fair treatment, safety, and the right to build without interference. Thinkers like Marcus Garvey, Fannie Lou Hamer, Malcolm X, Martin Delany, and many others spoke openly about self-determination. They envisioned black neighborhoods with their own economies, their own education models, and political voice. Space where identity could exist without judgment, restriction, or reshaping. Integration, as many scholars explain it, was not meant to erase differences. It was meant to remove discrimination. Autonomy does not reject coexistence. It rejects dependency and forced identity correction. Yes, so why truth sparks resistance? When long hidden history becomes visible, reactions can be intense. Some people fear loss of control over narratives. Others worry that new information challenges what they were raised to believe. For decades, media policy and education systems shaped how people viewed black culture, often through stereotypes or narrow frames. But the moment more accurate documentation surfaces, those frames break. When art and philosophy from ancient African societies are studied in universities, when diaspora histories link back to kingdoms, trade routes, and scientific achievements, when voices from the past contradict simplified narratives, suddenly black existence becomes too vast to suppress. Truth does not harm anyone, but it does remove the comfort of incorrect assumptions. Yes. Let's talk of cultural space being not separation. Because when a community asks for the right to define itself, that request is not hostility. It is protection of identity. Just as every culture on earth honors its language, food, customs, and historical legacy, black culture deserves the same freedom. Self-autonomy means teaching history accurately, telling stories from within, not from outside, building economic systems that serve the community, and also maintaining dignity without needing validation. Yes, black identity has been continuously reshaped by political systems, media narratives, and education models. Wanting freedom from that reshaping is not isolation, it is ownership. Yes, we have the power of having space. When communities are allowed to breathe culturally, innovation follows. We see it in music, in science, in sports, literature, and technology. Black influence has shaped global culture in undeniable ways, even after centuries of displacement, migration, and restricted opportunity. The call for space is simple. Let us exist as we are. No reducing, no filtering, no rewriting. Autonomy is not anti-anyone. It is pro-identity, pro-history, and pro-truth. When people respect each other's histories fully, coexistence becomes easier and not harder. So the unlocking of black history is not a threat. It is a restoration. It gives young generations a fuller picture of where they come from and what their ancestors built. It invites dialogue instead of silence, learning instead of resistance. As more archives open, more voices speak, and more narratives break free, we are reminded that dignity grows from truth, and truth grows from visibility. History does not belong to those who hide it. It belongs to those who live it, recorded it, protected it and are finally reclaiming it. Yes. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Of course, all credit belongs to the original creators of the video, and this video is meant for educational purposes and commentary purposes as well. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, stay open, and always question narratives that reduce identity instead of honoring it. Thank you. Have a nice time. Kindly like the video, subscribe, comment, and share.